It is an N.O.W show again, and thank you so very much for joining us. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the strength of an overcomer. And joining me on this episode is my friend and my sister, Miss Adebola Oluwagbayi. Aunt Adebola, welcome to the N.O.W show. She's going to be taking us on her journey to beating cancer. Yes, the C word, cancer. Once again, thank you for agreeing to share your story with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I think it's, I was hesitant, but I also realized that it's also important to share it with people. So it encourages people.
Yes, it does encourage, and your story might just be what somebody out there needs to be inspired. Cancer. The dreaded word.
Yep.
The dreaded sickness for anybody. And you've had it, you've conquered, you're living a beautiful life. But tell me, how did you take the diagnosis?
Well, you hear, over the years, you hear cancer and you just hear cancer, but nobody imagines that it'll happen to you. And then I felt a lump. I was persuaded to show you how I just really didn't think it was going to be anything. So I was persuaded to go and have a test. So I called the doctor. He sent me to have a mammogram, which I did. And then I read the report. The report said I was all clear. There was nothing wrong. So I delayed going back to the doctor. When I took the report, he said, well, okay, let's just go and see this man. There's this doctor. He just came back from America. He's good. Let's just go and see him. So I went.
It's important to note that your doctor is in Nigeria. Your doctor.
Yes.
Nigeria-based?
Yes.
Your treatment Nigeria-based?
Yes.
Everything Nigeria?
Yes.
Good. Okay.
So I went to see him, and he spoke very well. He said he made all the right noises. He'd read the report, but he'd examined me, but he suggested that I had a lumpectomy, which I agreed to. He told me I would be in and out within a few hours. So I thought, okay, why not? And that there wouldn't be too much scarring. So I said, fine. So I went in, and then he now got the test results back and invited me in. So I sat there for hours waiting. He got rid of all his patients, and I thought, what was wrong with this man?
What's wrong with this man?
That why would you keep me waiting? You've given me a time, I'm there on time, and then you don't show up. And then he now sat me down and spoke. All I can remember is that I remember him circling the words malignant. He emphasized it in red. And then now started talking about, treatment, what he thought I should do, what would happen, and all that. And then trying to encourage me, but I really wasn't hearing it. All I heard was cancer, and it was like, what? So he now said, he now started talking. So I said, look, you know what? I need to digest this.
Okay.
Just let me go. I'll come back to you. It's already started scheduling what he wanted to do and how he wanted the treatment to go. So I asked him to please let me go and let me just first of all learn to sink in, because I really did not expect it, especially as the report had said it was all clear.
Okay.
So
that moment, so there's a period where it takes you a while to deal with it, to digest, because I'm just trying to the moment the doctor says that word, what happens to you? You just blank out, or you?
As I said, I was confused. I couldn't absorb it.
Okay.
It was a bit strange because, cancer, when you hear cancer, people die.
So what comes to you is death. That's cancer?
Yes. Well, no. I won't say death per se. But it was something strange. I had to understand it. How do I understand this thing? How do I deal with this thing? What is it? What are we doing? What does it involve? I hear things, but I didn't know anything about it. So I went home. I told my daughter. And the first thing she said, everybody we know that has had cancer has died. And she mentioned the last two people. So, and then she went out. I cried. And then I called a pastor friend. I told him that this is what had happened. He said he was going to come straight away. And just trying to just deal with it. I mean, funnily enough, later on, the doctor called me in the evening because he said my reaction was strange. I said, well, you would not see me. I'm not the sort of person that you will see that will break down and start crying. I said, yes, but I did cry because, I mean, it's a bit overwhelming. It's a lot.
It's a lot
to deal with.
Okay. So you now accepted. You got to the acceptance stage. Okay, they say I have this.
Okay, yes.
So tell me, from that point where you accepted it, what you did. You went back to the doctor and take us through.
Well,
that's.
I went. He said he needed to do a mastectomy, so we scheduled that, and he told me, what would happen. I went in. In actual fact, I did something really strange. I traveled. I went for somebody's wedding in N.O.W, which was absolutely crazy. Nobody knew that I had the problem, but I went. But I kept insisting that I had to come back on that Sunday morning because my operation was Monday morning. So I came back, went in.
So you were not pulled down by the fact that you were going in for a major surgery?
Actually, no.
I think that
the lumpectomy was like that. But the other surgery, there were a lot of things going on in my life at the time. So it was a bit, all I was just thinking of is how to get this surgery out of the way and then see the end, because the end is important.
So you were eager to have the surgery because you were looking at the end?
Well, I didn't have much choice. It was something that he said it had to come out, and then they would run the tests, and then I would have 8 courses of chemotherapy and all that, which is what my focus was just getting to the end.
Your focus was getting to the end.
Yes.
It's important you stress this because I've heard about people who deny and say they don't want to go ahead with chemo, they don't want to go ahead with radiation, they don't want to. But you need to look at the end and know that that's the process for you to get to that end, isn't it?
It actually never occurred to me not to have the chemo. It never occurred to me. I was prayed with, I have to emphasize that.
Okay.
And my faith was strong enough for me to believe that, okay, I will get through this, but I just had to follow the process.
Okay. So your faith is what made you go through the process. You have to follow the process. So you can't say you have faith and say you don't want to do all these things.
Well, when I was prayed with, I wasn't told that we've prayed and so therefore don't do anything.
Exactly.
Right? I was just prayed with. And I just followed the process. He said it had to come out. Okay, so we had to get it out. I must admit, though, that his manners were very encouraging.
Okay.
He's actually, I mean, even now when I speak to him, I say, well, I hope he was on his best behavior because he could be a bit of a bully sometimes. But, very clear-cut, very clinical about it. And I think that's the way you should deal with it. Be clinical.
Did your treatment last?
I think we had the surgery in October, started the chemo in November. I finished chemo. I had 8 sessions of chemo. I finished it in March.
Okay.
And then I had a break, and then I went on to have radiotherapy.
Okay. So the entire time you're talking 1 year or thereabout?
It was under a year because I was done by the end of June.
Okay.
I was done.
How did you feel through each process?
First of all, I didn't have any idea what chemo was because you hear chemotherapy, you don't know if you're put into a machine or you just hear chemotherapy. So I got there and he had all these massive needles and he put a cannula in my hand. And then we talked throughout it, which helped. And, he started off, this is anti-nausea, this is this is that. And then we continued with the process. And then I was told to wait for a bit just to see if I would react to it. And then I went home. They say you have nausea. Then I start thinking, okay, when will it kick in? Eventually it started. They say you lose your hair. I cut my hair down. My daughter said it was an overkill, but I said, well, it's going to come off, so let me just cut the hair down. But I must admit, though, that when, it started falling out, it was very emotional, very, very emotional. I mean, I'd wake up and he'd be on the pillow.
Wow.
I would be in the bath and he would be in the bath until everything went.
Wow.
The person that cut it down, when he came, he said, "Oh, when did I have this hair cut again?" And I just laughed because I couldn't talk about it at that time. It was difficult.
So there are those things you're going to have to deal with. Changes that occur with you. Loss of your hair. What other things? Tell me, what's the chemo sessions for somebody out there who is still trying to come to terms with going through chemo? You've been through.
It's a cocktail of drugs.
Good.
It's a cocktail of drugs. I'm not sure. We had 4 sessions of one type, and then we also had 4 sessions of another type. So I went through the first one. He gave me a lot of anti-nausea. There were tablets and everything. It was very difficult. I would feel so sick. Sometimes it would take a few days and then it would kick in. The session was every 3 weeks. So by the end of the first week, beginning of the second week, I would start to get better. But towards the end, I just didn't get better at all. I just got worse. It's something that you can't describe. But my focus was getting to the end. It started with 1 down, 2 down, 3 down, 4 down, then 3 to go, 2 to go. The last one I didn't want to have because my body just did not recover. I had a big argument with the doctor. I called my referring doctor. I told him that he should tell his friend I was not having this thing, that it would kill me. Because that's what it was. I could barely walk. I was in a lot of, you can't imagine the pain.
About pain.
Oh, the pain was something else. I mean, when I said my doctor was a bully, every time I called him, he would say, "Okay, buy this, do that." Then he would say, "You just want to be addicted to it. That's it. You just want to be addicted." And that would put fear in me. I didn't want to be addicted to, I think it was the painkillers, because some of it were morphine based. So I just did not want to be addicted. So I would bear the pain. Sometimes after a while, the pain was just so unbearable. I can't describe it. I cannot describe it.
You prayed.
Yes.
You had faith.
Yes.
And you still went through these emotions. So these emotions are expected?
It's normal. I mean, it's something you've never experienced. You didn't know what it was. Now they tell you are healthy and suddenly they tell you you're sick. And you have to deal with it. And the only way you can deal with it is by going through the treatment.
Okay.
Yes, I was prayed with. I believed, but I wasn't told you don't need to go for treatment. I just went ahead and I followed. I'd been prayed with, and I knew that the end result was that I would be healed. At least I believed it. And nobody said don't do any treatment. Nobody said anything. So I went ahead with it.
So there'll be instances where everything going on will get to you.
Oh,
and
yes.
You just don't want to go on.
Yes.
But looking at that end result, that's what keeps you going?
Well, as I said before, it's you count it 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when you get to 5, you start saying 3 more, 2 more, 1 more. And as I said, the last one was like, no, I just can't do this.
Can you imagine, just at the last one, you now feel that you don't want to do this?
The pain.
It's the pain.
The pain was something else. The pain is unimaginable. I was taking ibuprofen and Panadol together.
Okay.
And the pain that I could not walk was a struggle to walk. It was a struggle to dress. To bath, I would wash one arm and then rest. Then wash the next. And that was how it was throughout. I could barely walk.
So, when was your defining moment? After going through this emotion of, I don't want to go through this anymore. And you had just one treatment to go. So what motivated you, or what made you now go for that treatment?
The doctor bullied me into going. He bullied me into going. And when we finished, he said, well, see, it's done, which was true. So what I would say to anybody going through it, focus on the end. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be rough.
It's going to be tough.
Very, very, very tough. But you know what? You get better. Your body starts healing. You start, the pain is less. From not being able to walk, I started walking. I mean, I could go on and on and on as to what you're going to go through. But you know what? Here I am 12 years later.
12 years later. Gosh.
To the glory of God, I'm here 12 years later. I can talk about it. People have died, but I thank God that I went through it. I thank God that I did not break. It was every 3 weeks, and I was able to do it every 3 weeks. My immune system would be down. They would boost it artificially, but I got through to the end. I was one of the lucky ones. I had a good doctor. And I thank God that I was able to afford the treatment.
A good doctor, Nigerian-based.
Yes, a good Nigerian doctor.
A good Nigerian doctor, Nigerian-based. So it's not, because, some people go, it's when you can afford to go for treatment abroad. Those are the people that get healed or find solution to the cancer.
Well, the treatment is the same. When I got because he sent me the process, and I emailed it to a doctor friend in America. Okay. And he passed it on to his oncologist, and they gave the go-ahead on the treatment, that it's exactly what I would do if I was in America. So I knew that it was okay. So I just followed it through.
When we're talking, I realized that the treatment of cancer is a very expensive treatment. What happens to those who really are even struggling to eat, struggling to meet their day-to-day existence, and cancer is diagnosed?
I actually don't know. What to say, because the drugs are expensive. There are generic drugs. I don't know how effective they are. That's cheaper, but even the cheapest is still expensive.
So what came to me as she said that is, if you're out there, you have cancer, and you believe that, yes, it's an expensive treatment, well, I think it's good to reach out. And for those also who are around these people, support is very important. We support them financially, because with the right treatment, you can get better. You can't survive it. It's not a death sentence.
Definitely. It's no longer a death sentence.
Please, let's have more people out there support people who have cancer. Maybe we need to even go out and look for people who have this illness and they can't afford it, and try and be a difference in their lives.
Truthfully, people don't want to fund it because it is expensive. So they'd rather fund the diagnosis or palliative care. It is expensive. There's no other way to put it.
So it's good for us to get at the back of our minds and accept that it is expensive. So you have it, you seek help. You know people who have it, you support. Just look for them and support. I believe that the people have money, and they need to channel the money into not what people can see, which is what they do.
Right. They want to be on the pages of newspaper. They want to be photographed. They want to do different things. That is not the way. There are people who just need help. Maybe a little bit of encouragement. Maybe they need to pay for their tests. At least hear them out. Not everybody, not everybody will spend millions and millions. There's a drug that costs £5,000. Here it's 2 million every month. Not everybody needs to go through that. But whatever it is that you can do, everybody needs to do something and not keep quiet about it. The drugs are expensive. I had anti-nausea. When I started, he said there was anti-nausea for 250 naira, which is what I guess the general people would get. And he also told me that what I was being given was 5,000 at the time. So I hate to imagine what it would cost now. And I said, 5,000. He said, I'm saying that, but there are many people who cannot afford it.
That's right. Wow. Thank you, Auntie Adebola. Now, let's go to your aftercare, or from when you finished your treatment and were you given the all clear immediately, or how did you manage the process? How did you go through?
After the chemo, I had about 3 or 4 weeks break. Then I had to go and do radiotherapy. It was not available here. The only hospital that was doing it had one machine, and there was a long queue. And his patients had been, they were backed up. No, they were not able to start because there's a process that you follow. They were not able to do it. So I was blessed enough to be able to go to the UK to do it. So after I finished the radiotherapy, I now asked what next, and I did some tests.
Okay.
I did bone density, CT scan, and all that. And the doctor gave me the all clear.
Wow.
So 12 years. To the glory of God, 12 years.
Is there a particular regimen you have to, or your life gets back to normal? Please just be.
It takes a while. It takes a while. Even now, I'm not sure that there's still some things. Like yesterday, I was feeling on my side, I was feeling the muscle tightening. It locks. Okay. And I'd asked the doctor before, and this was the doctor in the UK, and she said she was surprised that after so many years, I was still feeling it. But there's so many side effects. So many side effects of it. Not eating, not being able to taste food. I would cook, I wouldn't be sure if it was okay. I would keep asking, is it okay? Because I couldn't taste it. I couldn't be sure that it was okay. There was all sorts of sensations. There was a lot of numbness. My nails were black. My feet were black. My hands were black. My skin color was black.
The food is always okay. The food is always more than okay because you're such a fantastic cook.
But it changes your body considerably. But you get better, as I said. You heal over time. It gets better. I mean, people will say, chemo kills people. It's a lot of chemicals inside you. Well, so far so good. That is the best way that they know how to treat it, and it works. They say alternative medicine. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in it because these drugs that we're being given do come from plants. Some of them, at least I know the Taxol. I can't remember which tree it is. Okay. So you can get too much of something. You can get too little of something. I remember somebody brought me back vitamins. I would always refer to my doctor, and he told me no. Because of what I'm being given, it could affect and turn over the chemo. So I wasn't allowed to take this. I wasn't allowed to take that.
So it's important you confirm everything.
I think you need to confirm everything.
Because there will be people who just genuinely want to help, and they'll be bringing all kinds of things your way, suggestions, medications, whatever. I know somebody who has used this, try it. It's important you refer and get back to your own doctor to be sure that will work with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you've lived a normal life, and thank God, 12 years in the clear. You are such a woman of strength. I say that always. And
I don't know about
like I said, you are a woman of strength, definitely. And I'm sure that with this again, you've been able to encourage somebody out there. You've been able to inspire somebody out there. And even people who don't have the sickness, like actually come into a realization of what that sickness takes and the difference we can make, because there is a difference we can make to somebody who has it, or whether we know them or we don't know them. We actually can make a difference, and that's the truth.
The Bible says that sometimes you go through things in order for you to be able to encourage other people.
That's right.
And then you now think, why me? Why should I be the one that has to go through it to encourage other people? But it's one of those things. It's done, and I'm able, to the glory of God, I've spoken to so many people. My doctor tells me people to call me. We speak about it. I'm able to share my experiences. I'm able to tell them the way that I was feeling, and I've been told that they feel encouraged and they feel blessed by it, and I'm happy. I'm grateful that I can do something. I can make my own little contribution towards making other people better.
your contribution sure is major.
But the focus, I will say, the focus is the end. No matter what the troubles are, focus on the end, because it has a timeline. The treatment has a timeline and it must end. Focus on the end. Don't try and overlook all the different pain and the this and the that. Focus on the end. Count it down and it'll be over. Even the side effects and everything, you get over it. Here I am, I'm sitting here.
Wow.
And you know, there's some of the you can't imagine it. You cannot imagine it. You can't imagine it. But there is an end.
Thank you once again, Auntie Adebola.
Thank you for inviting me.
We can't thank you enough. We can't thank you enough. Like she has said, there is an end to everything. There is a timeline to every adversity. So always, like she said, focus on the end until we come your way again on the Now Show. This is Adebola Show with Adebola Oluwagbayi signing out and saying, live a healthy life.